Okay, good morning. Please, those that are eating, you can eat here, no problem. Feel free. It's lunch time, so welcome to this session. We are about to start with this roundtable that is called the Catalonia Advanced Therapies Ecosystem, building Europe's future in ATMPs. And before I start to introduce the purpose of this roundtable, I will start just with a very short round between all of my colleagues that will be here in this session as speakers. So please, you can introduce yourself, that you will do it better, and please say who you are and which is your company or the entity that you are representing. So, Lluís, please.
Thanks, Robert. My name is Lluís Pareras. I'm founder and managing partner at Invivo Ventures. We do invest only in advanced therapies, so it is a field that is very dear for us. And my previous background, I am an MD by training. I used to be a neurosurgeon before jumping into the dark side of venture capital. And very happy to be here. Thank you, Robert.
Silvia, please.
Hello, my name is Silvia Martin. I'm the clinical senior manager of advanced therapies at the VHIO, the Institute of Oncology of the Vall. I also am a researcher and an MD, and basically I'm responsible for bringing forward the academic advanced therapies at my institution.
Hi, good morning. My name is Fina Lladós. I'm the general manager for Amgen. It's a biotech that was born in US 40 years ago, and we are also very linked to this meeting. Also, the investments are so important for us also because we were born as startups. So that's a perfect roundtable. I'm pharmacist. I'm been also working for more than 12 years in clinical research, and after moved to the dark side, also on the business side. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Esteve Trias. I'm the Executive Medical Director of Leitat, that is a technological center, and I'm focused in transplantation, regenerative medicine, and advanced therapy for more than 20 years, and focus on the area of advanced therapies and development, focus mainly on the academic area, are also being involved in the regulatory agencies.
Good morning, I'm Antoni Matilla. I'm CEO and co-founder of Biointaxis, which is a startup biotech company located in Badalona, here near Barcelona. And we develop advanced gene therapy products for rare diseases. Basically, we are working on a specific product for Frey's ataxia, which I will give a pitch upstairs from 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all of you. As you see here, we have the representation of the different agents in the value chain. We have the hospitals and research centers. We also have spin-offs, startups, technological centers. The investors that help these companies to make able the arrival of these solutions to the market and to the patients, and big multinational companies that finally bring these products to the research centers. Sorry, to the health center, I mean. Okay, we will start. I wanted to share with all of you which is the current situation in Catalonia and how we can try to contribute to the different challenges that we have in ATMPs at the global level. I don't know if you know it, but in Catalonia, the 40% of the total Spanish publication related to advanced therapies are written here in Catalonia. There are close to 130 clinical trials currently in advanced therapies developed in Catalonia, and 20 of them are promoted directly from Catalan institutions. And this means that more than the 90% of the Spanish trials include or involve the participation of our Catalan hospitals. This means at the end that Catalonia is in the 5th position in Europe and in the 8th position worldwide in terms of participation in clinical trials. And more recently, and all of you are members of this club, we constituted the network of advanced therapies of Catalonia with more than 45 entities, public and private, and they are represented as here in this table, the main agents in our ecosystem. So I would like to start we'll start with Lluís, that you have this global vision. What do you think that we are doing nowadays in Catalonia that makes that this ecosystem is one of the most important innovative ecosystems in health in Europe, and more, in the recent years, is being focused in advanced therapies? What do you think that we are doing good? That these things that we are trying to, that we have improved in the last years?
Thank you. That's a very beautiful question to start the panel, of course. I think we're doing quite a few things very well. For starters, I think in the advanced therapy space and synthetic biology space, we do have some of the best scientists in Europe and in the world, some of them with really, really good output in terms of science, in terms of translation of initiatives into the market. So let me start by saying that this sector, working in this sector, because I'm surrounded by all of them, it feels like a real privilege. They are amazing scientists. And also, it's not just the scientists, but the fields that they've chosen in cell therapy and gene therapy. I think they are particularly interesting. I mean, I know many scientists around that work at the frontiers, at the forefront, at the leading edge of this industry. Now, we are going to see in the near future more and more logic gates. We're going to see combinations of cells. We're going to see gene writing. We're going to see many, many things that are coming that will change this space and that will make the space a very interesting one to treat patients. And precisely, let's not forget, and as you know, I am an MD by training, so thinking about the patients, I think what we're doing is both having a very good research and being able to provide a very advanced medical care for our citizens. No? So in a nutshell, I would say that, plus of course, again, let me say again, the privilege of working in this field.
Okay, thank you, Lluís. And Silvia, we know that Bio is one of the most important centers in personalized medicine in oncology. You came to Bio, you said before, 4 years ago, and you have been working in several places. What have you found in Catalonia that makes possible this kind of synergies and to have a so attractive ecosystem?
Yes, I was working before coming here. I was in Switzerland, in fact, in an environment in which was very similar to what I have here at VHIO. It was a center with scientists interested in the development of new therapies. That was very interesting. And then when I came back, I found that the ecosystem here is very interesting because there were some research centers that were very implicated bringing scientists. I agree with Lluís that this is the basic the starting point. You need to have a very good research ecosystem with very good researchers trained. And this has been happening here for quite some years. So that was the starting point. The second point is that you need to have institutions that believe in the future of this kind of therapies. And this is something that you need to believe because it takes time. It's quite complex in terms of development. And I think that here there is the ambition to contribute to this sector. And I found this very interesting, amazing, because there is a very good environment mixing exactly the researchers, the academic institutions that were interested in bringing these new therapies to the field, and also an ecosystem of companies, the investors, and that help to make this a reality. I think that this is very interesting because this is promising. We are somehow witnessing the development of a new branch of new therapies that are very promising because the results that we have for the ones that are now for patients are very, the efficacy is quite good. So, and the field is expanding with a new bunch of potential outcomes that are very interesting. And I think that here the ecosystem is promoting the development of this kind of new products. So I'm very happy to be here also.
Thank you, Silvia. And now, Fina, What we know that Amgen is one of the largest biotechnology companies in the world, and what makes attractive, no, for a company such as Amgen to be here in Catalonia since several years ago?
Yeah, sure. On our side, we founded a company here in Spain 35 years ago, and we chosen Barcelona, actually. And why was this? Beyond what Lluís and Silvia have mentioned, also, this is a right ecosystem where already we had a history of a lot of companies that were investing in not only biotech, but also pharma. And we have many or most of their local companies that were born here in that region, and ecosystem was already very well prepared. Currently, we have more than 1,000 biotech, also pharma and health tech companies that at given point was already pushed for getting more and more. And I think for us as a company was, okay, a right city also because of the talent, because of the universities, because of their well-prestigious also academic centers that we were seeing from outside, and also our headquarters in LA was seeing that Barcelona had a lot of academic centers with worldwide known opinion leaders in field areas, and also a lot of science in basic research. And we were those startups at that time that were coming here to seek for what is in this field that and where there were some molecules that could be interesting for us. So I think a right ecosystem, very well prepared, already a well-known local companies that were giving signals to our investors that this city was the more open to get those kind of companies. So that was mainly why we chose it.
Thank you, Fina. And Esteve, Leitat is a very important technological center. You have been working on innovation in advanced therapies for many years with very strategic synergies with hospitals and different centers. You are, this kind of technological centers are a key actor, because you are in the middle, creating these public-private connections, helping the transfer of the science to the market. What do you find here, with this all these kind of actors, to make so important, the work you do here?
Thanks, Robert. As you said, I think that if we go to the beginning of the question that Lluís started to answer, I think that we are very, very strong at the beginning and at the end of the chain. No? We are very good in the research. We have fantastic academic centers and research centers, and as well as we have hospitals, clinicians, and reference centers for doing the clinical trials. That's the issue, that we are a reference on the clinical trials on the areas that we are talking about. But in the middle, that's the role of the technological center, building, as you said, this bridge between the research and the transfer. And we are trying, and I think that we are good enough, but we are trying to be even better in building this transfer in the technological areas, just to reach the patients and to make more easy how this research and all these capacities reach the areas. But not only for the companies or the spin-offs or the startups that are built or are growing up in our environment, if not to be attractive, as Fina was saying, for others to come here, finding here the environment where they can find the solutions on the challenges that they have for developing their own product, going for the preclinical, the development, the regulatory management, etc. And I understand that is our main role, to build these capacities, to make it attractive for our own initiatives and for others to come to Catalonia to find the environment to develop their own products.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, Antoni, you are the example that we are here in these kind of congresses of those entrepreneurs that take risks to try to make possible that research arrives finally to the patients. You are focused in gene therapies, but as an entrepreneur, as a spin-off, what do you find here? Not only the research, but this kind of environment that makes nowadays that Barcelona is one of the top cities, most attractive cities for entrepreneurs and for spin-offs and startups in this field.
Yes, absolutely. I think the environment, the ecosystem that we had, that my colleagues have mentioned, here is excellent to promote advanced therapies research and development. I think we have 3 of the top universities here in Barcelona, in Catalonia, top hospitals for clinical trials with a lot of expertise and international talent. And very importantly, we have a specialized investor ecosystem in Barcelona area, very professional, very aware of the scientific areas and the medical research that is being done here in Catalonia. Lluís Pareras and Invivo is an example, but there are many others. I think there is the Catalan traditional European vision. No, I think we have been always looking at Europe for doing business, and I think that's an imprint of all the Catalans here, and I think that's important. As a biotech startup CEO, I think we have found many benefits to be here and a lot of help. One of the examples now is the hub for advanced therapies led by Biocat and promoted by the Catalan government, in addition to the institutional support that we have when establishing a startup, which at the beginning is not always easy. No? But in my experience so far, which in the 5 years that Biointaxis exists, my experience is very positive, excellent. And I think the key of the success is to be part of this ecosystem.
Thank you, Antoni. I would like now to go further now on what are you doing from your different institutions to contribute to the advanced therapies development. And I would like to start with Silvia, because I would like to know those that are directly in contact with the patients, because Bio, one of the main purposes is it try to make very fast, quickly and efficient the transfer of the research to the solutions for your patients, because you are in directly contact with those people that have this kind of illness, that they need these new solutions. So how an institution, a research institution such as Bio that is in a hospital, you are doing different things, how you are trying to improve, to make faster and easier, that these solutions arrive, these advanced solutions that we always say that they will arrive in the future, but we need that they arrive the earliest we can. So how you are contributing to develop these new therapies, these different therapies that we are trying to create?
Yes, this is a challenge because, in fact, VHIO is a research center in which we have some researchers specialized in different fields. And one thing that was interesting is that we recruited some researchers that were coming from centers that were interested in this field from very early on. So this is the first that we needed, in fact, researchers interested in developing these products. And then what we did was something that we also see that is very important, is to create working groups that are multidisciplinary. So that means that we have researchers, we have clinicians, we have regulatory people working together to try to make this happen, because this is a field in which we don't have all the experience in one person. We need to collaborate to make groups that are multidisciplinary, as I said, and so everyone brings their own experience into the process. This is really very important. We need to make these multidisciplinary teams so that everyone brings the best of the knowledge. Researchers from one side, they know the products that we are developing, and the clinicians, they know the patients and the needs that we have and how we should bring this to the bed of the patients so that we can make a difference. And we need to work together and to talk each other, because this knowledge is complementary. And we need to understand both sides of the situation. So this collaboration is very fruitful. It's complicated because people speak different languages, but I think that this is important. On the other side, others are working in multidisciplinary groups inside the institution so that we can bring these products to the bed of the patient. What we are also doing is to participate, to collaborate in international networks. We think that this is very important, because we need to make this to happen in a multinational environment. We cannot do it just a small thing. We need to do it in a collaborative structure so that we can use exactly the same idea, to bring together the knowledge and the strength of the different institutions. And this is important. I always say that this is difficult, because to make people to collaborate is sometimes very complicated, but this is very important. And at the end, we succeed, because I think that when we work all together, we understand which are the strengths that we have, the weaknesses, because this is also important to realize that we have weaknesses, that we need to collaborate with other people to find the strength from everyone. And I think that this is what is important in this field, that we collaborate with both inside the institution and also with another institution, so that we can make the best of each one. And at the end, this is key. Otherwise, we will not succeed. And this is what we are doing. We are collaborating internally and externally, both inside the region, also inside Spain, and also outside with Europe. We are participating in collaborative projects with another academic institutions in Europe, and also trying to build bridges with industry, because I think that we need to do that. So it's very ambitious, but here we are, and we will try to succeed, because I think that this is very important for all of us.
And let me go back to Antoni, because you is also an example, no, of how to transfer the research, no, from the hospitals, no, and trying to make them affordable to the market. From your experience, no, how a small company such as Biointaxis has contributed, no, trying to create these synergies between the different agents, and also which are the lessons learned, no, that you have during this pathway that you have been walking, no.
Well, my experience, to be honest, is surprisingly, we haven't faced many difficulties. We haven't, because it has been very straightforward. From the support of the institution, in our case was the German Trias Research Institute in Barcelona, to the university, we found very early investors interested in the project. A lot of professionalism, a lot of talent and experience already. We have excellent companies working on regulatory. And we just had to select the right players that they wanted to accompany us during this trip, no, to the market. So to be honest, in 5 years' time since we established Biointaxis, we haven't had any problems. We could find all the different players that we needed in order to succeed and to bring the product to the market. So now we are getting closer, and it seems that at the beginning we were saying, in 10 years we'll do the clinical trial. We are only 2 years ahead. So and that is thanks to all the different players that want to join us. They want to help us. All different advisors, regulators, investors, university people, transfer office and the institute, Biocat with all the support, all the different actions that you promote. So my experience is very positive.
And Lluís, you are looking for these early stage companies. You try to help to create value, and to make this possible. How you trying to create these bridges, within the different parts of the path?
Yes, I think, well, to contribute value from our side, of course, the first thing we do is investing in the first place in these companies. We're typically the first investor. As I was mentioning before, we do invest only in advanced therapies. We have very beautiful examples of companies that are succeeding, are moving forward and trying to help patients in the future. Pulmobiotics is one example. We have the CEO, Claudio, here sitting at the audience. Integra as well, for example, as a gene writing company. Giala from Hospital Clinic, Esteve, I'm sure it rings the bell, from Manel Juan. One Chain Therapeutics, another CAR-T and Gamma Delta platform led by Pablo Menendez. Arcex, even if it's a Valencian company, but I think it does apply on RNA therapy. I don't know, we really love these companies, and we are typically the first investor. It is very rare that, because we invest very, very early, right? Also, I think it's very important, and we try to do that very hard. We bring very talented people to the boards of these companies, and we try to expand the network and bring talent into Catalonia. I could name drop a few names that I'm sure you will know, but George Charles, for example, the head of synthetic biology at Harvard, is the chairman of one of our companies. Tim Lu, the head of synthetic biology at MIT and now CEO of one company in the space in the States, sits at the board as well of Pulmobiotics. I don't know, the list would be very, very big. But we do believe bringing talent is important, you know, so that matters, and that connects Catalonia to the rest of the world as well. And finally, of course, because we're the first investor, but I think it is also very important to be able to attract other investors into the companies, and we are like the flag that tries to attract. And we have co-invested so far, I would say, with everyone in the space, with all the major investors in Europe, because we have many, many companies. In our first fund, for example, it was a very small fund with just 15 millions of investment. We attracted 220 millions from investors overseas and from Europe. In our second fund, I think the figure is now close to 200, but it's going to get much, much bigger, right? We have attracted, for example, Orbimed, we have attracted JTO, we have attracted Takeda Ventures, we have attracted Kur. I mean, the list is very long, right? But I would summarize with these three things: investing in the first place, bringing talent into the company, and good providers into those companies that usually are international, and finally attracting other investors to our field. That's
Esteve, what about you? What about Leitat? How you contribute or try to contribute, not to create this value in this ecosystem, and trying to increase, not this kind of collaborations, not as Silvia said before.
Yeah, I think that's the main role of a technological center, is to have the capacities ready for the needs. No, that's the role of a technological center in a place, no, like Catalonia in that case. In the area of advanced therapies, I think that's obvious because we have a specific roundtable here talking about advanced therapies. The needs and the capacities and the knowledge is quite specific, and the challenges are also very important related with that. So in one side, what we are trying to do is to develop a start of a specialty of the different capacities that we need for going from the regulatory preclinical or even from the research to the analysis of the research can be transferred or not, but going from the preclinical even to a thing that probably we will talking about a different field will not be necessary, like the manufacturing and production capacities that Lluís Pareras also mentioned, that this is a need. And when we talk about advanced therapies that sometimes could be benefiting a limited number of patients, having the capacity of manufacturing under GMP conditions of a small batches, not only for regulatory purposes, if not later for the development of that, could be a need or a capacity that could be necessary in the environment. So we try to contribute from the research that is needed to complement what is the research of the initiatives that we have in the environment to this transfer, and this facilitating the arrival to the patients, even, for instance, in the regulatory advice, even with the strategic of regulatory, that we understand that for the success of some of these therapies, having this regulatory strategy is critical to reach the patient in the shortest time as possible, because at the end, we have two main objectives. We have the objective to reach the patient in the shorter time possible, and with the necessary safe for that. And I think that in advanced therapies, this is a challenge, because the regulatory makes difficult and makes challenging in the timing and the costing related to reaching the patient and covering these unmet needs that are crucial for the patients.
Okay, thank you. And Fina, please. In the past, the big companies normally waited for the rest at the end of the pathway, but nowadays, that doesn't happen anymore, and the companies are very close related, with the different agents trying to identify, the possibilities and these new solutions in terms of advanced therapies, emergent therapies. So, how you try to contribute, in this network, with these different alliances to make this bigger and also better.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, on our side, we're doing two things. One area internally, it's because at the end, our investors at Amgen are internal investors from the headquarters. So they decide where to invest in which country. We always push for that they invest here in our country. When I joined the company 25 years ago, we were 30 employees, and now we are more than 300. And in clinical trials, we are the second largest after US in number of clinical trials. And in advanced therapies, we have also CAR-Ts, oncolytic virus, and also BITE platforms, among additional 9 more platforms. And always say and create trust to the region here where we have 60% of our clinical trials. If I compare to the rest of it, 60% in Catalonia, 40% the rest at the national level. So that means that creating trust and we having those academic centers that are referenced and delivering the results. And I really want to thank you here, the ecosystem, because it's really their researchers are first level around the world. And this is creating trust that they invest here and they do not go to other countries because they trust what is here. Externally, also, we play a role here, members of Biocat in the board, and taking part of this advance, just making sure the access to the patients occurs. And Robert and the team has been doing a great job in just putting and connecting the dots and sitting all together on the same table, all the ecosystem, which is, I think, very exceptional if I compare to the things that I see outside. And putting all the people here that we need to work together with one objective, I think that's very exceptional. And also on my side, also connecting with the rest of the Spain, because I'm also part of their national biotech companies association and also pharma industry, making sure that we also have a voice. And this is a region where we need to invest because it's I would say the more mature area from history and now even more. So making sure that we talk about the data and make sure that the investors from outside, they are trusting the just building up companies here, which is one of the objectives that I have also being part of a big company.
Thank you, Fina. As I said before, nowadays, Catalonia is one of the most important health innovative ecosystems in Europe, and we are trying to improve and to make this possible also at the world level. But we are trying to make things, to create and to develop solutions and treatments, and try to make them that they can impact globally. This is the reason we are trying to attract congresses such this one, such RESI, but we are also trying to attract talent, and companies and investors, to come here to Catalonia. But I'm doing this reflection because I want to send an open question, so please answer in the order you prefer. So we have a lot of very huge challenge in terms of advanced therapies. We can talk about money, how to pay these therapies. We can talk about regulatory, how to make this efficient, evidence, a lot of things, So this global challenge, but also opportunities that we have in this field, which do you think that are the most important ones? The ones, if I want to just ask you for 2, 3, I don't know, which are the top ones in which we should focus in the long term, trying to make this more accessible for people? So please, and also please interrupt. If you don't agree with any of you, please make this very flexible.
Thank you. I think there are 3 challenges that are key. Let me start by saying why the challenge is important, because I think advanced therapies today are at the leading edge, as we were mentioning, and they are used not so often, but let me be very clear. They're going to be mainstream. They're going to be used very, very often. And we owe to our citizens, to the patients of the future, the capacity of treating them well using all the technologies that we have at our disposal. And advanced therapies are going to be one very important technology. So in order to accomplish that, I think there's a problem of production. You know, I mean, I'm worried about the ability, because when these therapies are going to go from 3L, third line, to second line, to first line, eventually we need to be able to produce. And I know there's a lot of effort being put there. And I'm confident that we will be there, but I'm signaling that this is important because we need to be able to produce. Secondly, I would say as well, bringing talent to our space. You know, I mean, good people that are able to advise in the regulatory process, good board members, good, talented physicians and scientists and board directors that could contribute. I would put that as well as a challenge. And finally, maybe something very pragmatic and very mundane, if you allow me, Robert, but I would say space is very important. We are lacking space in our ecosystem. I think all efforts that could go into that direction would be worth it, because some of our companies are finding problems in finding good space, and at the end of the day, space is necessary for nurturing small companies that want to become very big in the future. Let me finish by saying I absolutely agree with the comment that Esteve said before. We're very good at the extremes of the value chain, both research and providing these therapies. I'm only reminding you all that providing these therapies is gonna, we're gonna need to increase the capacity, okay? Because it's not gonna stay as where it is today. It's gonna be much, much larger. So all efforts into that direction, I think they are worth it.
Just to follow the discussion of Lluís, Lluís knows that I disagree with the challenge of production, because I find very easy, but probably it's the different approach. I will go on that. I think that I agree with Lluís that the challenge of talent is quite challenging in the sense, because we are now competing for the talent, and maybe we need to do something to create more talent and to guarantee that the talent is very focused in these areas. Because when we are talking about talent, we are not talking about the CEOs that are also missing a signature in a way. We are talking even the technician that is working with advanced therapies is quite a very specialized function in the sense. We're talking about global talent on the area. So for me, that's absolutely agree with you. But in the other side, I find, and maybe you can say, is that we are now talking about investment, startups and that, but for me, there is a challenge that we need to start working on, that is the access of the patient. When we talk about as a technological center, one of the challenges that we afford in the day-to-day is adoption of the innovation. But when we talk about advanced therapies, the problem is on the table. There are some therapies that are ready for the patients, and because of the cost, because of the regulators, whatever, are not adopted and are not accessible. It's nice that we are working in developing new therapies, new therapeutical solutions, but we need to start thinking how these therapies will reach the patient at the end. So the access, for me, is one of the main challenges on that. In the middle, when we talk, for me, production, I can understand the concern of Lluís, but I think that is something that we can build in a very short time, because we have the capacities, we have the knowledge and that, and the capacity at the moment is quite enough for the needs that we have at the moment, and I find that much more simple. But there is one challenge that for me is that could be the key, no? Let me say that very simplistically. We need to make much more easy the development of a new therapy. And when I'm saying that in a very open way, from the regulatory point of view and even from the clinical point of view on the therapies. And I think that there is a challenge on the therapies that requires a kind of generosity to create a common knowledge, to make kind of platforms that could be open and common for everybody, even academic or even companies. That could be some kind of platforms that could be pre-competition without entering in conflict with the individual interests on the knowledge of a company or a group, etc., that make challenging or pushing the regulatory agencies to make much easier and faster to adopt or even to evaluate or to guarantee the safety that we need to guarantee to the patients. And I think that this challenge on making much easier, it could be the key for offering these therapies to the patients in a shorter time.
If I can, because I cannot agree more with you. I think that for me, the main challenge is the patient access. Because when I talk with, in the international environments in which we are involved, the patient groups, they always remind us the same. All of this is beautiful, but we need to have access, and this is key. So basically, I think that this is the main point. We need to make something to make these products accessible to our patients, and this is the main challenge that we have. For this, I also agree with Esteve that we need to rationalize and make things easier. I agree with that. We need to understand how the process are performed so that we can rationalize both the resources that we have and also the time, the two things. So we need to do things shorter, faster, and more economical. So we need to think from this point of view, in different terms. So I think that this is very important, and this is why I think that collaboration is key. Because for this, we need to collaborate between different institutions, within different parts of the environment, so that make it easier for everyone. And for that, I come to the third point that for me is key, that this is the regulatory access. We understand that if we want to go in this direction, we need to work with the regulatory agencies so that it's easier from that point of view, because the system was created in a certain way some years ago, and as more we work on that, more we understand that there are things that are not adapted, and we need to facilitate this. So, in fact, we are working in this direction. We are part of a CSA project that is aiming to this goal, to propose to the European to the Council in Europe new proposals to facilitate access to ATMPs. We think that this is key, because at the end, if we summarize, this is what we want, to make it easier so that patients can get it, because I also agree that this should become mainstream. We see it already. Some of these products are the best solution for our patients. They have been difficult to develop, but when we succeed, they are the best option. And usually they are products that are targeted to the patient itself. And the results are really amazing when we succeed. So we need to facilitate this process, and I think that this is the direction in which we have to go.
Well, I cannot agree more on what you said. And actually, when I think about the expertise and the technologies there, their innovation has grown exponentially in the last years. I think there is one thing that I'm not sure, and I think it's a challenge. It's, do we have a vision outside here that their advanced therapies would be one of the most important ones in the future? Have we kind of realized that externally? Because we talk about among us, and we are very convinced about that. But I'm not sure that they're outside there, they recognize this. And unless it's a recognition there, I think we won't be successful because this requires a transformation the way our legislators think about, our payers think about, and how we transform the system to absorb this innovation. That's the first challenge. I think that we are not there, and we need to do something about that. The second piece is access to patients, and it's linked to what you mentioned. There is what doesn't make sense that we do a lot of research and we invest and we attract if their innovation doesn't reach patients. That doesn't make sense. And now it's not a guarantee. And it's a nightmare, and it what keeps me awake at night. This is the most, I think, important thing that it's not yet solved, and even less when I think what's coming. When I go to the Ministry of Health and we renew dossier, they are scared. And this, I can understand. We need to work together how we get ready for that. And the third piece is making sure that we make that scalable, because it's not a given either. It's very sophisticated, and we need to get ready to make that scalable, because if that's not scalable, it's individualized treatment on a patient basis. That's very difficult. So scalability is also important. So 3 things: recognition externally, access to patient, and scalability.
I agree with all the challenges and bottlenecks that you have mentioned. I would emphasize in my experience and my experience in working on gene therapies specifically. Manufacturing, CMC manufacturing is a bottleneck and a limitation for us because there are not that many companies capable of producing scalable batches. As you say, the word scalability is critical when you are thinking on clinical trials. There are not that many companies, and that makes the cost to be very high. So it's not cheap to produce a gene therapy product under GMP quality. And I think that's because there are not that many manufacturing providers able to generate these type of products. Another limitation and bottleneck that we have found, another challenge, is to have closer facilities for research and validation in non-human primates, which is a requirement for regulatory agencies on gene therapies, and they are not available. We couldn't find any facility in our area, in our country, working on non-human primates for regulatory purposes. So we had to do it abroad. Or, for instance, for manufacturing of the DNA libraries that we need in order to produce our recombinant vectors, we had to make them in the United States. There was not in Spain. There was not. The ones in Europe were not that easy to make. So we finally went to the United States to produce them. And those are bottlenecks that I think that could be surpassed, overcome if we had these things. And one other challenge I would like to include in this discussion is to have investors who are not scared of the 2 scary ingredients for investment, which one is advanced gene therapies and one for rare diseases. So Biointaxis deals with both of them, and that scares many investors. Not all of them, fortunately. So I think more and more investors now are very professional, specialized, and they are aware that it's a huge market opportunity for this type of therapies and market size. And that's why we are here.
Okay, thank you so much. We arrive at the end of the session, but we have a couple of minutes. If there is any question from the audience, do you want to address? Does anyone? No?
Can I have a question for the investors?
Yes, we have 2 minutes. So you have 30 seconds for final remarks, questions, or whatever you want to do.
Okay. Just talking, Antoni mentioned, just to differentiate the European environment in front of the American one. For instance, when we have a rare disease in America, in the FDA, and you receive the designation of a rare disease designation, there is a rule, that when you present the product for approval, you receive a voucher, for prioritized evaluation that can have been sold for a significant amount of millions of dollars. And this is a kind of an incentive for the investors to invest in companies that develop therapies for rare diseases and that. In Europe, I think that we have a different way of thinking, and we consider that that's very, I don't know if capitalist or what's the idea in Europe not to have this kind of incentives. But I would like to know from the investors if this could be a motor, to move ahead in the investment of this rare disease on these therapies that the capacity.
Okay, so Lluís, final question from.
Yes, of course. I think it is always interesting. I think the main difference between the American investor and the European investor, if I may, European investors are basically more driven by science and pure science in itself, whereas the American investor is driven by vision, and it's a different approach. We try. I mean, I think very humbly we're driven by both science and vision, right? But yes, the incentives that you mentioned, Esteve, are designed for a reason, and they are designed precisely to attract investors. You can sell this voucher afterwards, and as you mentioned, it is an amazing value creation. I mean, it has a lot of value creation potential. So we do love that, and we pursue that very actively. So that's my answer.
Okay, so thank you, all of you. I think that it has been a very nice roundtable with a lot of nice challenge, to face all together. So thank you so much, and see you later. Thank you.